Watch you. The topic of whether or not the Bahamas needs to become more actively involved in the mining and distribution of its natural resources continues to be a hot button issue. Tonight we continue the conversation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Clint Watson. Welcome to the show on this Friday. Well, tonight we have the second part of the documentary, one organization's findings of what has been happening with our natural resources. The first half, we saw how many have been benefiting from our sand, and now we're taking a closer look at just how they're doing it. But before we get into it, we talk to the producers of the documentary. Please welcome my guest, founder of Bahamian Evolution, Representative Ashley Colbrook, and director of the documentary, Lincoln Bain. Both of you, welcome to the show. Good to have you here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, so Lincoln, let's start with you. Last week, it was mind-blowing. The response was amazing as to what we saw. But I think for the first time, Bahamians are getting a closer look at something that has concerned them for decades. And now actually having someone go in and get tangible information as to what exactly has been going on, I think for so many people has been a reset moment, because we're now getting somewhere with natural resources, which really belongs to the people of the Bahamas, not any particular entity. And I thought that was mind-blowing to see that you were able to begin to show us how it's on the market, contrary to what our people are saying, how much is being made from it, contrary to what our government officials are saying, and then who's actually behind it and what exactly they're doing. Talk a little bit about what we're going to see in tonight's documentary, which is really called The Land Pirates, which focuses on limestone.
Well, tonight, if last week blew your mind, this week is going to blow your entire mind, body, and spirit.
Wow.
Because we go even deeper, and you're going to see documents where it was intentional to not allow Bahamians to be able to participate in this. It was intentional. You're going to see documents for the first time. And in fact, you're going to hear directly from the mouth of the persons who run the companies that has been taking our aragonite. You're going to hear from themselves telling you how much aragonite they have and the value of it. It's going to blow your mind. You're going to see the political tricks that they've been playing, and you're going to literally see documentation where our politicians work together with other business persons and set up companies outside of the country that they think that we can't see. But we've discovered them, and we're going to show you them for the first time.
Ashley is bringing you the conversation because there's young people like yourselves who've been working on this project. Talk about your view as you worked on this project and discovered this information.
Well, Clint, when we actually got into the whole ins and outs of how these industries are actually developed, it's sickening. Wow. It's sickening to know how undereducated Bahamians are about these resources. And it's also sickening to know how much profit is made in comparison to the standard of living in this country.
Wow.
And so when we hear figures like $2 per ton, and then we actually go in depth and we research and we see how much is made from that same exact $2 ton. It's treachery.
Wow. Wow. You know, it blows my mind to think that natural resources, see, this is where I get concerned and angry actually, because no one owns natural resources. It's the resource of the Bahamian people. And I believe it was put here for all of us to be able to benefit and live decent lives. How does a group or a special select group determine that we will take this and we will make it ours and sell it and market it and keep the money for ourselves and believe that's okay to do? And I will be able to do this until I'm tired and pass the business on to my children and my children's children, and we will keep it within the family when it ain't yours. It absolutely is not yours alone. It belongs to the Bahamian people. And I think the Bahamian people ought to have a right in saying who benefits from it, where it goes, and how it will be used. And I can't get for the life of me who has been authorizing this for years and thinking it was okay to do so.
Clint, this week's show is a two-part show. This is part one on this. We had to do this in two parts because this is so serious. But the reason Bahamians have been taken advantage of is because they didn't know the value of what they had. They don't know the value of it. And we've pulled up documents from the archives which show that the government thought that these guys were taking the sand for something else than they were taking it for. Where the government told them and instructed them to do one thing with the sand, but they did something else with it. That it seemed like persons were taking advantage of the situation. Because I couldn't believe that when we saw the original documents, because we have the original documents when they first started this, and it was actually 6 cents per metric ton. It recently increased, Prime Minister Ingram increased it to $2 per metric ton, but it was actually 6 cents. It's because they thought that this stuff was just going to be put on beaches, for example, to restore beaches in Florida. We're going to show you the documentation, but these people were taking it after making a deal to do one thing, and they were taking advantage of the situations. And documents show where they put in writing that only an American company can take advantage of this situation and can use that particular natural resource. It is in writing. It's going to shock you, Clint. Last week's show was really entertaining. This one actually delves into documentation that you've never seen before and that you've only seen, and you're going to see it here on Beyond the Headlines first. This is the first time these documents appear on TV with the signatures. You're going to see all the tricks of the trade and everything they did.
Let's get our commercial breaks played. We got to pay some bills. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, however, I want to ask you a question. A serious question I want to ask you is, how long has this been going on? And are consecutive governments aware of it? Because I don't believe it falls on the back of any one administration. It appears to be something that consecutive governments have all been a part of. We'll talk about that, and then we go into our documentary right after the break. Stay close. And welcome back to the show. We're about minutes away from showing the second part of our documentary and the series on natural resources. Tonight will be the land pirates, focusing on limestone. And of course, the persons who've been involved in the production of this, director Lincoln Bain, and of course, one of the representatives from Bahamian Evolution, Ashley Colebrook, are here talking about the production of this. Ashley, were you surprised when you delved into the information on limestone? Did it shock you what you were able to uncover?
To be honest with you, I have had an idea of what was really going on, but I never knew the extent of it. And when we actually went into research and we saw all of the names and how far back it dated and the profits, it was absolutely sickening to know the state of our economy presently. Mm-hmm. It's almost laughable.
Wow. Did you ever thought you would find the information so easily accessible? Because we heard from last week as well. Your colleagues were like, and it's right there. You don't have to even search hard. It's right there. Were you surprised how accessible it was?
I was surprised, but I was more surprised at the fact that this was, hidden from Bahamians for so long. Well, not necessarily hidden because we had access to it, but the fact that we didn't even think to look on the internet. Who knew that we could find all this information like at the tip of our fingertips? It's crazy.
Lincoln, obviously, this is not just one administration. This has been going on for decades, which means consecutive administrations. Matter of fact, it means all of the governments that we've seen in power so far since we've been an independent nation should have been aware of this.
We have documents with signatures as far back as Wallace Grove in Grand Bahama. We have documents which show what the UBP did. We have documents to show that Sir Lyndon Pinland thought that this was going to be the savior of the Bahamas. He actually stated that when he first came to office, and he took action towards it, but then something happened, and you're going to find out on this show tonight. This has been going on from administration to administration, and it's been a cloaked secret.
Wow. Wow. I want to watch the documentary. So let's go right to it. Without further ado, the land pirates focus on limestone. Take a look.